Hello everyone, my name is Aaron Woodman, and I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. In this video, we will dive deep into phase 4 of the Inclusive Leader Continuum, Advocate. As an advocate, you are not only active in supporting others, but also interrogating norms and asking inconvenient questions, all with the goal of leveling the playing field at work and in life in general. This takes perseverance, bravery, and willpower. If you do this well, you can speed the path of many who are exhausting themselves in a system not built by them or for them. Advocates have the opportunity to ultimately reverse these dynamics, even if that's through one courageous action at a time. Advocates know that many hands make lighter work, so they are strategic with how they make change happen and who needs to be involved. They spend time thinking about how to marshal commitment, build community, engage those in power, and, in general, work smarter, not harder. They know that one-on-one work needs to be supported by institutional change, and they think about all the steps necessary to tackle this complex shift without over-relying on those already struggling to be heard. All of this takes the active work described in the previous video. Here is a mindset of an advocate. Quote, I will identify systemic inequities in whichever organization I'm in, and if I can use my power and privilege to make lasting, sustainable change, then I'm going to do that, unquote. This is not to say that you can't engage if you don't believe you can make a difference. Part of what matters is that you tried in the first place to do what is often the harder thing. Others will then have the benefit of having something to build on as a baseline. At the same time, though, this does not mean you should make yourself the center of attention by taking over completely. In discussions pertaining to certain groups, seek out and listen to their perspectives first and learn where they need the most support, since it is their experience of exclusion that you're working to mitigate. At the advocate stage, you begin to question underlying facts, practices, and assumptions that perpetuate inequality. Inclusive leaders not only continue to support others one-on-one behind the scenes, but they also invite themselves into larger conversations that have the potential to create change of a different magnitude. This readiness and willingness to go bigger is a hallmark of the advocate stage. As inclusive leaders travel the stages of the Inclusive Leader Continuum, gathering knowledge and applying new behaviors, many first activate in private settings, safe places where they can begin to experiment and find their voice. It is imperative for every inclusive leader to take that time to get feedback, adjust, and prepare themselves for a bigger role in the conversation, and perhaps in more public conversations, which they can then step into as advocates. That practice is the training before the main thing happens. Being an advocate requires you to use all of the tools available to you in order to tackle persistent issues that prevent others from thriving. Here are some signs that you have arrived at the advocate stage of the continuum. 1, you think the status quo is intolerable and are unafraid to ask why this is happening. 2, you are vigilant and educated enough to notice when colleagues are not feeling valued. 3, you are unafraid to have difficult conversations or challenge the beliefs and behaviors of others, but you are mindful of how to do this in a way that maintains trust. 4, in taking action, you have learned through trial and error what resonates. 5, you proactively seek feedback and are not just open to it, but accept and respond to it, taking full responsibility for your words, actions, and impact. 6, you commit time, resources, and any capital that you can access, professional, personal, social, etc. 7, you don't care about the publicity and just do the work because you genuinely want to do it. As an advocate, your work becomes about questioning protocols that organizations have built that perpetuate an unequal playing field. This systems approach is perhaps even more critical than one-off solutions like a single mentoring conversation, in that it means addressing a root cause that could totally negate the need to address symptoms one by one. Being an advocate is an opportunity to move from the superficial Band-Aid approach to something deeper that gets to the heart of the issue and has the potential to improve the experiences of many. Most processes that organizations follow perpetuate bias because they have never been critically examined under a system lens. Those who can do something about it are either unaware there's a problem, in denial that inequities exist, or throwing their hands up about the supposed complexity of fixing the problem. The gaps you see today are a result of many systemic failures that haven't been openly challenged and addressed, as well as individual behaviors that perpetuate biased outcomes. Suppose your organization's leadership may suspect a larger and problematic trend is occurring. Unless they are actively working to correct it, it won't mean much. It may seem like systems managed by people are basically unfixable because of the entrenched reality of bias. But advocates see the whole picture, interrupting the status quo regardless, because they accept the challenge of ensuring the organization does not continue to allow a harmful cycle to perpetuate. Advocates need to be mindful of strategically aligning their efforts, managing more stakeholders and audiences, and understanding and getting involved with the power structure. Also, if you are the power structure, even better. Sustainable advocate level work requires consistency and vigilance. This involves spotting flaws in the system or process where bias intrudes. You could do this and become an advocate for change at any level within your organization. Remember, you do not have to have a specific leadership title to do this. You can examine any of the following workplace systems to see how bias affects outcomes: meetings, sourcing talent, interviews, onboarding, performance reviews, promotion process, and succession management. Each of these workplace systems has numerous best practices for making them more inclusive. As an advocate, you will need to put in the work to research possible solutions, making sure to partner with colleagues who can offer support. This is so it looks like there is a collective effort to have specific types of changes. For example, as an inclusive leader, you can advocate for analyzing your job postings to check for biased language that could disproportionately attract one demographic group and discourage many other demographic groups. This could be an important step forward in building a pipeline of highly qualified, diverse candidates. The same thing applies to any organization looking to recruit members, where the organizations need to double check the wording of their marketing materials to ensure they are attracting diverse groups of people. Advocates at every level of an organization know how and when to ask powerful questions and to question norms, as well as more conversations towards more public commitments to change. Now, of course, pushing to address root causes and bias practices does not come without risk, and risk goes up when you become more public, moving from awareness to action to advocacy. As you make it clear what has been hidden or protected, you create public accountability by beginning a conversation on a specific issue, which is a good thing. But anticipating any pushback from everyone is important. You may risk ostracization from your own in-group because you are telling the truth and breaking a code that protects them. People may accuse you of having biases for particular groups, question your motives, or go out of their way to point out your flaws. Even when you are trying to help people and evoke positive change, some people will have a negative reaction. After all, just because you are comfortable being uncomfortable does not automatically mean everyone else is feeling the same way. It is important to anticipate pushback so you are not blindsided by people who are not as far along on their journey to becoming inclusive leaders. As an advocate, you will go face to face more often with those who are at the earlier stages of their own inclusive journeys, and sometimes you will meet with all of these reactions, and sometimes simultaneously. A phenomenon has been identified for this type of pushback: identity protective cognition. This is a documented phenomenon in which individuals who encounter new information that is inconsistent with their beliefs and cultural identity tend to dismiss or diminish that information. They do so to protect their sense of self and the social position of the affinity group they belong to. Truth can be a direct challenge to identity. For example, social media is a popular form to disseminate information. Suppose there are people spreading messages of inclusion and education about bias that get routinely harassed or trolled. Those in a majority identity pay a price for stepping outside of that system to challenge others. But for those who find themselves pushed to the sidelines, such as women, people of color, etc., who share their personal experiences online, often experience much more extreme criticism. There is a constant push and pull between those willing to educate others and hostile audiences who are unreceptive to different perspectives and who are very public about it. When you challenge biases, You need to stay strong and resilient, even when it feels like you are not making much progress. But here's the good news. When you become more public with your inclusion work, there are vast communities ready to defend you and other similar individuals who are being mistreated. This swarm of defense can happen as quickly as harassment can, especially on social media. So while there is a risk of facing criticism and mean messages, there are individuals who will stand by you and uplift your inclusive messages. Still, how can we as advocates protect ourselves as well as others in doing the important work at this stage? Here are some ideas for getting the support you need to use a bigger voice while mitigating whatever risk you can. 1, make your official case. When possible, connect your case for change to those who have power and influence. Explain why change is critical, what actions you want and from whom, why those actions matter to the viability of the organization, and how much money and reputation are on the line if we do not get this right. 2, identify and align your champions. This is where you line up your champions and do so strategically. These should be a combination of those with official seniority in your organization or community and those with social capital too. When it comes to challenging norms around workplace culture, it is important to demonstrate a cross-identity coalition of those who believe in your ideas and who will step forward to support or work behind the scenes to socialize your efforts. 3, make sure you take care of yourself. You want to make sure you're taking care of your mind in the same way you're taking care of your body. As an advocate, you will often feel like you are fighting an uphill battle, and this stress can affect your emotional health. Here's what you can do. According to psychologist Guy Winch in his TEDx talk, 1, when in emotional pain, treat yourself with the same compassion you would expect from a truly supportive friend rather than with self-criticizing behavior. 2, resist the urge to ruminate on failures. Instead, learn from them and quickly move on in order to protect your self-esteem. 3, develop emotional resilience by battling negative thinking, consciously adopting a positive mindset and reaching out for help when you need it. While it is easy to see advocates as taking care of people, it is important to let advocates take care of themselves so they can be in the right state of mind. Lastly, remember that doing advocacy work is impactful work that allows you to make powerful change, expand your existing community, and create a new community of colleagues and friends who share a passion for change. Being an advocate is uncomfortable, but once you are ready to be uncomfortable as often as necessary, you will be ready to learn new things, develop the resilience to withstand resistance from anyone, and the stamina to keep moving forward. In conclusion, the advocate stage is where inclusion moves from individual action to systemic change. Advocates courageously challenge norms, question biased systems, and ask inconvenient questions, not for recognition, but to level the playing field for everyone else. They work strategically with others, leverage power and privilege responsibly, and focus on root causes rather than band-aid solutions. Advocacy requires resilience, awareness, and self-care, especially in the face of pushback from anyone. But it also creates lasting impact, expands an existing community, and creates a new community. With one courageous, well-aligned action at a time, advocates help dismantle inequitable systems and make it easier for others to thrive in our society. In the next video, we will wrap up this video set series on inclusive leadership by providing a recap of it. Until then, please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and turn on the post notifications so you will be notified when I post my next video. I appreciate your support. Remember, you are powerful, you are capable, and you are the change maker our society needs. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you soon.